All right, good morning, everybody. We'll get started in about 2 minutes. All right, welcome to Stock Analysis Friday on this May 14th, 2024. Great to have everybody here. All right, purpose of Stock Analysis Friday. Many of you, of course, are returning, but for those new, basically, we look up stocks and ETFs that you want me to review and analyze using our software called the Applied Reality Trading Software. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But go ahead and start typing in those in the comments area. And if you could use caps, that would be great. And we'll go ahead and get started then. And we meet here, of course, every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific time. All right, let me go over the risks involved in trading first. Like I always say, without risks, there is no opportunity. So the two go hand in hand, but we want you to be aware of the risks. Risk control is everything in trading, whether you're day trading, scalping the markets, or position trading. Risk control has got to be mastered for you to be successful. It's not all about entries and exits, though those are important. It is about risk control. Now, the other big proponent I am is while you're getting your trading down, in other words, while you're learning, while you're honing your system, while you're becoming profitable, developing your edge, you need to do that before actually trading with real money. And, I'm a big proponent now of prop trading for those that like to day trade, simply because you can get a prop account and get qualified and then be actually trading the prop account's money without really risking any of your own money. So it's really the best of two worlds. And they're not going to give you a funded account unless you're successful with your evaluation account. So it forces you to really use good risk control and stay within the parameters of good trading. So it's a big plus. Now, I'm going to put a coupon up in the chat area in just a moment. There we go. And I'll put the banner up real quick so you can see that that is the coupon code as well. So you can open up these accounts and you can get a big discount using our link. Not very expensive. They give you data for futures, free intraday data. This is for day trading only, not for position trading, but it gives you an option. And if you're learning how to trade, even if you're a position trader, not a day trader, if you practice on the day trading time frames with your system, you can get a quicker take on whether it's working or not. So there's definitely a lot of pros to that. I highly recommend it. And so you might want to think about that. All right, a couple more things to think about on the risk. When you do risk control, you're going to need to calculate your trade size or position size on each and every trade relative to where you enter the market and when you're going to get out. That's super important. Also, too, trade with money you can afford to risk. And until you have that money, you've got the option of a prop account. All right, what else to talk about? All right, run everything by your financial advisor because I'm going to be going over stocks. This is my opinion, my recommendation based on my over 30 years now of trading the financial markets. And so you want to make sure what I suggest is suitable for you. There's a lot of determining factors that go into that, things like your age, your tolerance to risk. These are all things that your financial advisor should know. So run that by them, okay? All right, so that's the risk control thing. A couple books on money management if you want to learn more about risk. New book, The Art of Trading, second edition, published by Wiley Trading, coming out this year, all done. Great book. Well, it depends on the layout, but it's about 500 pages now. But, with the layout, it could vary a little bit. Depends on how they lay it out. But pretty meaty book, a lot of good stuff in it. My Elliott Wave Technique Simplified book there was published by McGraw-Hill. And so that has been out for quite some time. Great book as well. And then my original Art of Trading book, which came out in 2008. So that's been out there for quite some time. So this new one will replace that. All right, when we look at charts, we're going to be looking at charts using software that I developed, and it's called the Art Trading software. We also have the OWL, PTF, and TLM ERI. Those are all indicators that we use with the Art software. When we talk about the Art software, it's specifically about the pyramids and the fractals that it puts on pricing. When we talk about the indicators at the bottom, we're talking about the OWL, PTF, TLM, and ERI, which are indicators we use to confirm signals created by the Art system. And then under that, we have scanners. And then under that, risk control software, which is why we call it the ultimate trading system, because we pretty much cover all the bases. All right, once again, the Apex link is up there. This is what it looks like when you go to the website. Once you get qualified, you can copy your trades into multiple accounts. And really, so for example, let's say you're scalping the market and you got an edge. It's giving you, $300 to $400 or $500 a day. If you multiply that by 20 accounts, you can see that that's big money. All right, the total compensation to customers in 2022 was $182 million, actually paid out. Average monthly compensation to customers since January of 2023 is $11,048,000, and total compensation to customers in the last 90 days is $70,600,000. So these are actual dollar amounts getting paid out from funded accounts. So if that interests you and you've got the time to do it, you might want to consider it. All right, give us a like, subscribe, and share. I don't have to go into that too much anymore. All right, so go ahead and start typing in your stocks, and I'll get to those. I want to start out with Bitcoin first. We're seeing a little bit of movement down in the coin right now. We started going up. I'm going to enlarge this chart really quick. This is the daily chart you're looking at here. And I kind of want to go over this for you Bitcoin people out there. And I have Bitcoin as well. So, we're all in this together, so to speak, right? All right, so we got a wave 3. Now, this is the Elliott wave I'm doing. And this is the target zone for a wave 4, okay? So after wave 4 is the correction. Then after wave 4, then we start to move up into wave 5, right? So I want to take a look at what's going on in here really kind of quickly here. And I want to also full size this so you can see it really better. But the idea here is 3, A, B, C. So this could be a wave 4 bottom right here. And that's a big deal because if that's the case, that means we're in the next impulsive wave up, wave 5. Now, basically, anytime you have a swing or a trade or a trend in the market, it's going to zigzag, right? It doesn't always go straight up. So you got to be prepared for that. So we're seeing a little of that zigzag right now. Now, there is an outside possibility that wave 4 is not over, okay? We did not hit the high probability zone. 15% of the time we don't. 70% of the time we do. And then another 15% of the time we even go lower. We're kind of watching this to see if this really is a wave 4 bottom. And we got to get above this red line here. That red line marks the top of B wave. And that's 72,000. Let me just double check that. I think it's 72,777. And yes, that's correct. Even, by the way. So we got close, but we did not break it. So we've got to break that to get confirmation that wave 4 is over. And if we do break it, then I think it will start marching up to this target zone here, which is wave 5. So there are 5 waves in an Elliott wave. And right now, the question is wave 4 over? Is it going to come back down? Is it going to go into the target zone? Is it going to go sideways? So we'll keep an eye on it and see what's going to happen. My feeling is we had a fairly structured ABC with C wave being at least one, the same distance as A wave. That's a requirement of Elliott wave. And it looks like it got actually about 1.62 or up to it. So that's a good, healthy C wave. So my feeling is that we've got a 4 bottom in here. All right. But there is an outside possibility. It's not. But we're playing it as if it is. So basically, a long trade here certainly makes sense. We don't have bearish divergence, even though it looks like we do, because we don't have a high yet. We'll get that bearish divergence more when we get in here. If this goes red here, then we got to be careful that we're not going to go sideways into a complex correction. So long term, I am bullish on Bitcoin. Short term, we got to see how it's going to play out. Now, we do have a green PTF here. That's a good sign. All right, let's take a look at the other time frames. And we have a green one here on the 60-minute chart over on the left, which is giving us our short-term look at it. This is the daily chart I just showed you. That's the primary or intermediate. And then the weekly is over here. Notice that, and this is long-term. Notice that all the PTFs are green, okay? So you can't have it any better than that. And more highs are coming. And the question is, let's get that above the red line so we can breathe a little easier, and then we should get to that top. Now, my target for Bitcoin is 87,274 up to 106,353. That's kind of where we're at there. All right. This little area up here is our scanners up here. So we're not going to be using those today, but you know, you can, for example, we can load it up like this. And when we have lots of stocks to look at, it gives us a quick reference of what we're seeing on the charts. So it's kind of cool. All right. Takes a lot of work out. All right. So let's hit it. So Stu is here, and Stu wants to take a look at Doc. Now, we looked at this one last week. So let's take another look at it again and see how it's progressing along. All right. So I think we liked this one, Stuart, I think last week. Maybe not. Maybe it had a red PTF. I can't remember on the 60-minute chart. But it looks like it's pulling off a bottom here on the weekly chart. Okay, so that is a good sign. We've got a pyramid here. We had this move up, this move down. I kind of want to see it break here. Okay, so it looks like it's going to. It's got some green PTFs in its way. So I think for an early entry, we can go ahead and put this on as a trade. Let's see where we want to put our stop here. Ideally, we always want to put our stop at the bottom, but I think this is a pretty good spot here, okay? I usually don't move my stop up until we create a breakout, because then we have higher highs and higher lows. But I think this is a nice pullback, fairly close to the bottom. I'm thinking if that gets taken out, that's not a good sign. So let's put our stop there. I think that's the appropriate level, which is going to be right around the $16.01. So stop at 16.1. All right, so Doc, we'll put Doc on the docket, right? All right, GH, let's keep going on. Oh, let me, okay, yeah, GH, good. All right, Sue, what do we got cooking here? All right, moving off its bottom on the weekly chart. And let's see, it's looking pretty good so far. So I think I would have liked to have gotten in this one a little bit earlier, okay? I think probably even if you waited for it to take out this high, that would be okay. The problem is now you're getting in a little late, Got a little bearish divergence building here. I think I'd kind of like you to wait for the pullback and then go in, because then I think that's going to give you a better price. And it, it could be a substantially better price, like a 15% better price, maybe even more, depending on how far the pullback is. But there's no question that this is pulling out off its bottom. Now, if you can afford here, here's a couple things. You could do an option here, because with an option, you don't have to worry about stop loss placement. Just make sure when you do the option that you take in consideration risk control at all times. Simple way to do that, if you have a certain amount, let's say whatever your account size is, take 2% of that trading account cash value, and that's what you should buy in terms of option amount. Okay, and that way, if the option expires worthless, you only lose 2%, which is in risk control guidelines for most people. All right, so that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is if you buy in here, put your stop here at the very bottom. Now, you could draw in some fibs here for fun to see how that works out. The problem with the fibs here, okay, is that since this is a wave one up, all right, that next wave can be retraced 100% of the movement up. So that's where fibs on wave two don't always work that great. But if you wanted to do that, the pyramid's got a nice stop for you right under that lower fib at 22.39. So I'm going to leave that up to you where you put it. I'm going to put this down as a buy. All right. I know it's a little far along, but I'm also looking at it as a long-term trade, because the target on this is going to be fairly substantial. There's not a lot of history, so let's just go for a weekly retracement target, and that's going to be $75 to 111. So that's a double your money. So not so bad. All right. And even if you put your stop at the bottom, you got about a 2-to-1 into the target zone. So I'm saying okay on that. Okay. Okay on that. All right, Jim, good morning to you. How are you? All right, let's see what you got here. We got VOO. Oh, wait a minute. Did I do all yours? I think I got one more, Stuart. Sorry. All right, FFIX. Forgot to do that. All right, let's take a look and see where we're cooking on this one here. All right, nice move off the bottom here. This one I'm going to hold back a little bit simply because we don't yet have a green owl here on the weekly, and it looks like we're pulling back a little bit right now on the daily and even the 60-minute. So let's do this. I like it. I think it's got great potential. Let's put it on the watch list, Stuart, and bring it back next week. Maybe by next week, it will have retraced enough and we can look for a getting in point. I would give it, you might have to give it a couple weeks, maybe 2 weeks to a month. But let's keep looking at it every week, okay? So put it on your watch list. Thank you. All right, back to Jim here. All right, VOO. All right, and then USO, you're long on. Yep, so am I. All right, so let's take a look at these bad boys here. Okay, so we got a little VOO moving higher. So, the target on VOO here is 517 to 558. All right, so the problem is, when we looked at it last week, I think we looked at it last week, it was already getting close to the target, and it's just getting closer and closer. So at this particular point, I kind of think it's a little too close. The ideal entry would have been back on this pyramid here. Okay. So is it better to get in here or better to get in here? Obviously here, right? So I think sometimes, when we miss it or we just get in too late, you got to let it go. Okay. All right, let's take a look at UNG. This is the ETF for natural gas. All right, so this one's moved up. And what we like about this one now, we had a red PTF here before, but it looks pretty good here. So, I would say this is looking fairly good. We've got, it's a little bit of an early entry, but here's the difference between this one. We still got a red owl here. We don't have any more valid selling pyramid. So you made a lot of money if you shorted that way back in 2022, right? Off the pyramid here. So that was a great trade. But now it's basically now the trend down looks to me like it's coming to an end. and we're heading back up. So here's the thing. All right, we've had a fairly orderly move up. We've got green PTFs here. Our target long term is 46 to 69. So we got to double your money here. And once the next short-term target, I think, is around 22 to 24. So that'll put it into this retracement area here. And then I would expect another move down. I think this bottom will hold, but I'm not so sure that this will hold here on the next move down. So that's the problem a little bit on this. So I think if you're going to go long on this, you've got the risk to reward here. I would put the stop at the very bottom and make this a long-term trade. All right. And this is a go. Okay. So I think because you got the green PTF, we'll get above this high. I think it'll turn the owl in the weekly green. So I think it's a good candidate for a early entry is the best way to say that. Okay. So I'm liking that. Let's take a look at USO. All right. So USO has pulled down, gone sideways, meandered. You can see it here, right? Now, what we can do here, my target on this is still around 99 to 124. Okay, so after this retracement ends, which it could end now, it should go back up. Came kind of deep, but we'll have to see how that works out there. Let's see, 1, 2, yeah, it almost went into wave 1, but I'm pretty sure that's a wave 4. And so let's see what happens with that. All right. So I think if you're long here, you got to put your stop. Like I said, our stop, we've been in it for quite some time, and our stop is at the bottom here. All right. Which is the same bottom as here. So this little bottom here is technically not the overall bottom. All right. So keep that in mind. Now, if you wanted to move your stop up here, you could certainly do that, but it would be better to keep it, I would say, lower until we break out on this high again. Then you could move it up. But I'm bullish on this, and I think maybe the pullback that we've been experiencing is over. Now, one of the interesting things is that, and this little pullback was just based on a retracement here, short term. So it's a short-term pullback. Now, I want to do this. I think, let's see if we got any type of pennant possibility here that makes sense. Yeah, I guess something like that. Okay. A little bit more. So that is, well, wedge or a pennant, whatever you want to call that. More of a pennant on the weekly chart, because I can start here and go way down here. Easier to draw on this one. And something like that. So pennant weekly, a wedge kind of on the daily. But in any case, a breakout from either one of these is going to be the direction it's going to go. And I would anticipate a breakout to the upside. We got higher lows coming in. So let's see how that works out. All right. So stay long. No reason to get out. All right. Let's keep going here. Bradley, how are you? All right. So let's see what you're short. Okay. I'm already in. Short-term bullish. All right. Let's check those bad boys out. All right. So ANET. Okay. So, all right. So you're bullish already. All right. You got a green PTF still on the 60-minute chart. So we're going to get more highs. Now, you got to be kind of careful here. All right. Because we're starting to see bearish divergence building inside the owl on the daily chart. See, as we make highs here, this is not. So that's bearish divergence. So we're getting close to possibly the end of this move up. So you got to be kind of nimble. I would say as soon as this over here turns yellow, the PTF on the 60-minute chart, then you need to ratchet those stops up real close to lock in profits, okay? All right, let's take a look at FSLR. I would not recommend that for any new people that aren't already in it. And same thing with this. I'm not going to recommend this. It's too far gone, okay? But again, let's see. This is why I love the PTFs. We have green PTFs across the board. So we're still going up. We have very strong owls on both the weekly and the daily. So this one, we got a little bearish divergence building, but still a very strong one. We have more divergence in the 60-minute than I see on the daily. So what could happen here is we could get a little pullback before it reaches it goes higher. This is not a major pullback here. It's probably a minor on this one. So it's probably just going to be off this leg here. And I don't think it's going to be quite a major one yet. So I'm going to draw this in really quickly here and give you a kind of an idea. Probably somewhere, possibly it could go to 258 to 229 before it pops back up. Now, I don't know where you got in, but if you've gotten in and you want to put your stop at this pyramid, that's fine, but you'll probably be stopped out if it pulls back significantly. And it might not. It may just go ahead and make other highs right away before the pullback. But I would stay with this one. You got green PTFs, weather the pullback until you get the owls turning or the PTFs turning yellow. Okay, so you're in pretty good shape. I love the PTFs for that reason. People say, well, what do the PTFs tell me? Well, the PTFs tell you that more highs are coming. So even if you get a pullback, use your fibs to try to get a feel for where that pullback is going to be. And if you can survive that without it impacting your trade, then you might want to hold that. If not, ratchet your stops up or at least get out when the 60-minute PTF turns yellow, okay? So I would stay with that one too. All right, ADI. Let's take a look at this. All right, so ADI, green PTFs on the daily and the 60-minute. We did go below the pyramid here, okay? So if you got in early using the pyramids, that would stop you out. Now, you've got a green PTF still on that, but we may be going into, because you got a red owl here. So I would say we're probably going into a retracement here. So I would say it's probably coming down to 222 to 210. All right. So you may, you can decide what you want to do on that. After that, it should make more highs, but you're going to have to suffer through that. So I'll leave that up to you. You could always get out and go back in, right? All right. So that's that one. I think that's it. Okay. Good, Bradley. All right. So let's keep going here. Stu's back with little Pfizer here. PFE. All right. So we had Pfizer heading up. We kind of anticipated a pullback. I think we drew in the fib retracements from last week. We kind of hit there, but we still got a red PTF on the 60-minute. Again, this is why I love the PTFs. So at this particular point, let's just draw this a little more accurately up here. So at this particular point here, I don't think the correction's over, okay? That PTF's got to turn yellow or green on the 60-minute. So no go on that one. Let's take a look at Nike here. All right, red PTF on the 60 keeps me out of Nike, okay? Now, I do like Nike because if you look on the weekly chart, look how beautiful that is, okay? So as soon as that PTF on the 60-minute chart is gone, then we'll be all over this. So on Nike, let's put that on a watch list because believe it or not, that's a nice setup. All right, hit the target zone. The next, let's just for fun, draw in the extension here. And if we go back to 2009, which is a major here. So even if that bottom holds back in early, late 2022, I guess, the top on Nike is 185 to 249. All right. So not so bad, but just wait for this PTF to change. It's got to go either yellow or green. All right. Other than that, we'll hold that one. All right, Eleanor, how are you? All right, Eleanor is long on TSM. All right, so now we're approaching the target, right? So we drew in the target the last time, and we're in it now. But The PTF now has recently turned yellow on the weekly. So caution here on the daily, but green here. So it looks like we got some more highs to go. So at this particular point, I put my stop probably right under here. Okay. And then as soon as this turns yellow, I would trail my stops right close. Okay. But you got more highs coming on this. So I don't think I'd be concerned about it. Let's take a look at Walmart here for you. Okay, Walmart. Hold on a second. All right, there you go. All right, so Walmart is solidly in its long-term target, okay, but green PTFs abound on the daily and weekly chart. I'd put your stop right here on this pyramid here, depending on how long you've been in this, but that's 64.15. That gives it a little bit of leeway. If you want to give it even more, put it down here. More highs are coming, okay, but we are in the target zone. So you do have to kind of be a little bit mindful of the stop loss. You do want to get them in there. GTCT. All right, let's take a look at this one. Not a lot of history in this one, but we do have a green PTF on the weekly. Oh, darn. We have a red one on here. So I don't know where you got in, but this looks to me like a pretty good bottom here. All right. Let me just make sure that that is what this is saying here. I'm not so sure it is. All right. Now I've got to check this here. This bottom here is 25.22. And I believe that's the same. This bottom here is the same pretty much. Yep. Okay. So this is basically saying at this particular point, we're going lower than here. And this low here, again, is, 31.20. This bottom, I think, is a little lower. Yeah, it's 25.22. So I think this, so far, this looks to me like the bottom, but it looks like we're going to go a little below this support here on the pyramids. So keep your stop here, all right, at the bottom. And I'm hoping this will dip down a little bit further and turn around, and this bottom will hold. So I would stay long on this with a stop below this low at 25.21. All right, actually here you also got another support level here, but use this one here, okay? And I think probably that will keep you in. My target on this is 48.5 to 60, roughly 63, okay? Both those should resolve itself back to the upside. All right, let's take a look. CVS for the watch list for Stu here. All right, let's see what we got cooking here. All right, so this week a little better because we don't want to have a red PTF over here. So that's a good sign. All right, let's see where we headed down. We were kind of waiting on that. Let me just take a look at this weekly chart. Oh boy, it's kind of messy, isn't it? All right, so usually that's an awful big retracement. So that's probably a 5 high. I'm not liking this one, Stuart. Okay. Hit the target here. Yeah, no go on this. All right, I need it. The problem is that wave 5 is over, so it looks like we're heading down, but it's not a good short trade because we're going to go up to probably about 70, 75 before it sells off again. All right, let's keep going here. Oh, Al, I haven't seen you in a while. How you doing, Al? Okay, he's not in this one. NNVC. Good to have you back. Hopefully you're having a good summer there. All right, let's check out NNVC. Okay. Ooh. All right, green PTFs across the board. Pull back right now. But boy, what a nice setup that's coming. All right, very inexpensive stock, $1.95. So you got to be careful of the liquidity on markets like this. Stocks usually, in this price range, you want to use limit orders for the most part, so your fills aren't bad, so to speak. Got to be careful about the liquidity. All right, I'm liking it, but it is coming down right now. So I don't want to, just jump in. It's the famous saying, catching a falling knife. Let's let the knife hit the floor and then get into it, okay? So I'm liking it, but right now, let's let this come down. I think this should go on a watch list, okay? NNVC. So, okay, this is our $1.95 stock. So let's take a look at that next week, okay? All right. Eleanor's back. Let's see what you got here. CELH. All right. Well, this one certainly did fall out of bed, right? So, okay. So here's the deal with this one. If I can get there we go. Okay. So now we got to move this one down, and it may not be quite over even yet. All right. So let's keep an eye on this one here. All right. This one here is green PTF. And it looks to me like, let me just see here. Let me just see if that B wave went above there. It's 98.85, 99.62. So it didn't. So this is probably an A, B, C, because that looks like about 1.62 times A, which is good. Now let's just see how the price structure looks. Okay, well, I guess. All right. So not sure we have a bottom in yet. This certainly came up to this little target almost and then sold off, right? So that's, that's kind of interesting, but it did not go above here. Now, if it went above here, then I would be more apt to say, okay, but it kind of didn't. So now we're going to hope that this is some type of bottom forming in here. And with the green PTFs on the higher time frame, I don't think wave 5 has been put in yet. But I think now we're going into a 4 on the daily. So let's see what happens. I wouldn't go into this if you're new. If you're in it already, all right, you're going to have to suffer through this or get out if you have a profit and get back in. But it could come down a little bit more before it kind of forms a base to bounce off of. But the long-term charts are showing more highs. Okay, that helps. All right, so BROS. Another thing you could do is when that market turns around on CELH, you could dollar cost average in if you want to, depending on what kind of situation, investment versus a swing trade. I don't like the dollar cost average in if it's going to increase my risk more than 2% though. All right, so BROS, not much history here. You're going in the right direction for a long trade. I'm not exactly sure where it's going. When I don't have a lot of history, it kind of is difficult to know. The best I could do here is, let's see what we got here. You're in a retracement target. So I think I'd put my stop at this pyramid here. So I'd put it low at 33.89 because it could take one more dip down. Not sure on that. And it looks like we have bearish divergence on the 60. So we may be getting ready for a swing down soon. Okay. All right, let's take a look at PEP. This would be a good example of, if your broker called you and said to go into BROS, you can take a look at the chart and see if it makes sense. And if it doesn't, then hold off. That's all. All right. So this one here, I have no green PTFs. I have a red one on the 60-minute. Let's open up here. Okay. So without a doubt, this is an impulsive wave, but now we're going into a correction. So this is kind of looking like, we'll see here, this bottom down here gives out, That's 155.83. I would have my stop right under there, 155.82 or 80, right around in there. And if that gets taken out, you're going to want to get out because that's going down. All right. And this PTF is red here. So I don't know, exactly what your intentions are, but the target on this for a retracement is 139 to 103. And we're at 164. So pretty significant. Okay, let's keep going here. All right, Eleanor's got a few more. CELH. Good job, Eleanor. All right, CELH. Don't know. Okay, weekly green. Yeah. Okay, so we got a green PTF. All right, but we're in a retracement here. All right, so that's where we are right now. And we still got some red here. So as soon as this thing bottoms, then we should be good to go back and make new all-time highs. So that's kind of where we're at. I don't think we're going to come down much further, okay? I don't think this is going into, see, the weekly chart still got us in a wave 3. So anything here is minor. So I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. A little bit lower, but not a lot. So I'd stay with this to the long side. All right, if you're trading this, just put your stop below here. You can put it below, right below here. It's pretty low, 49, 46. So you're giving it quite a bit of leeway. All right. We haven't looked at TLT in a long time, Al. Good job. All right, good to have you back. All right, TLT's the bonds, okay? And, the bonds I've been staying out of, obviously, because of the red PTF on the weekly. All right, now it started moving up here. But again, this has been red the whole time. So I've been not going in it, and now it's trickling back down. So that's the way the PTF is. Sometimes the PTF looks like, well, it's not, it's not doing what I want it to do because I want to go long, and it looks like I should be long. But what it's looking at is when a bottom forms, or a top for that matter, but when a bottom forms, it's calculating the amount of momentum and so forth that goes into making that bottom. And it goes into a probability matrix of telling you, based on the power of that particular thrust down that formed the bottom, is it likely, is that usually the way bottoms look? And the answer will be no if it forms a red PTF. So that's what we have on the long-term time frame, is red. Now, short-term, you can go up, you can go down, PTFs can change color, but if the long-term PTF remains a color, that's the overwhelming direction of the prediction, okay? Everything else is swing trades inside that. And that's kind of what we're seeing now. You see this back and forth here. So we've got a green PTF on the 60-minute. So if you wanted to go long against the PTF on the weekly, you could do that on a short-term trade, but base your trade on that 60-minute chart. Use stops and everything accordingly. On the, if I'm getting ready to go into a nice move to the upside based on this, then, it's possible we could reach this target zone and then it sells off. That's possible. So we can trade it back down, and that's not such a bad trade. But, okay, it could sell off from here as well. So depends on how you want to play it. I mean, I think this is a bottom. This is probably an A, B. I think we're probably going up for a while into C. I would imagine the PTF will remain red. So in this target and then a sell-off after that. All right. So I'm not going to recommend it really right now. Actually, I probably could if I wanted to, simply because this would be a lower time frame trade. And we got a nice place to put your stop. Yeah. All right. Why don't we do it? All right. Actually, I think it's okay. Not for an investment. This is for a swing trade, short-term swing trade. So that would be up to 110 to 127. And your stop needs to be right here at 90.02. And we're at 94. So pretty close stop, good trade size. If it hits that target, you want to get out because then it should sell off again. All right, I'll go with that. That's cool. It makes sense. not as an investment, but as a short-term trade. That's okay. Cool. All right. Anybody else? All right. After I finish this, I'm going to go back and do some day trading with the prop accounts and finish out the week here. All right. Going once, going twice. All right, let's just quickly take a look. Why don't we take a quick look at some of these intraday situations here? All right, so we're kind of bouncing along sideways here. We came up here and hit a high already, so I'm going to remove that. All right, you kind of don't want to be trading too much in this area here because you'll get whipsawed, but it looks like it may be starting to break down here. So we'll see. We'll see on that one. All right, let's see. All right, Frank, I had a good morning this morning already, but they were very quick scalp trades. All right, hey, Gene's right. Happy Father's Day to everybody. Absolutely. All right, let's go back and take a look at one that Al wants to look at here, XBI. All right, here's XBI. Let's see what, let me open that weekly chart up. Green PTFs, I like that. All right, so the hook down, that's probably a high probability bottom there. I think that looks pretty good, okay? So I would imagine eventually you have a good chance of getting above here, okay? Let's take a look at the daily and see if there's any reason not to do this. Not really. It's not really trending. It's kind of going sideways on the short-term charts, though. So you don't want to get stuck in the sideways motion. I would say on this one, if it breaks above this pyramid's high again, take it. If you don't want to get stuck going sideways, you don't have to, but there's also no reason not to take the trade here either, okay? So it just depends on how cautious you want to be. It is coming down a little bit. This owl could go red. If it was me, I would probably hold off a little bit and wait for maybe a turnaround, get some bullish bars. Currently, we've had 3 red bars in a row on the daily chart. So I kind of would like to see a turnaround. And then before I go in, instead of just jumping in. But it is a setting up to be a pretty decent trade here. Okay, there's no question about it. So let's put this on a watch list, okay? I think maybe next week it will have turned around. And I don't think waiting a week is going to hurt us on this, okay? All right, Bradley, let's see. mRNA. Good old Moderna. All right. So definitely turning around, okay? Let's take a look at this chart here. All right. So almost looks like Bitcoin, right? When it turned around. All right, so there that is. All right, believe it or not, the PTF is calling for more highs above 500 on this. Wow, okay, long term. And that's not going to happen in a week. That's a multi-year trade, right? So let's see what's going on here. We got a little bit of bearish pyramids here. We got to move down. All right, so again, kind of like the other one, let's put this one on the watch list. But right now, it's moving down. You have lower lows. Well, not really. You kind of going sideways. But I'm afraid it's going to break this. And if it does, it will come down more significantly. And I think probably, you don't have a red PTF yet. So this is not a major wave 4. Let me just go grab them here. Okay, so that would be, I think maybe we're looking at somewhere, it should stop pretty soon if it doesn't go to a red owl on the daily. So as you can see on the 60-minute chart, yes, you got green PTFs across the board, but you've also got a, on the short-term chart, you still got to move down. So again, let's wait for this to turn around. Next week, let's look at it. Again, I think if you go in here, you're catching a falling knife on the short-term chart here for right now. Long-term, it looks fine. But it just is a lot of room for it to push back here a little bit before it goes higher. All right, let's take a look at NVIDIA, the tech darling, right? This is a great one for wave 3. Look at that. Bada bing, bada boom. All right, so definitely, I don't see any bearish divergence in that owl. The owl now is higher than the previous hump. We're smack in the middle of wave 3, okay? And we got a green PTF back, so we're in pretty good shape. That's why, the pyramids do a great job of trailing it on up. Sometimes it's a little nerve-wracking when the market pulls back, but it keeps you in trends instead of taking you out based on emotion. So that's a good thing. All right, so a couple things to note on this. All right, here we had this little pullback. Remember we looked at it before? Let me just open up the 60-minute chart for a minute. So in the 60-minute chart, we had a movement here, then a pullback here, and now we're going back up incredibly. Okay, it looks like there's some data screwed up here or something. So I'm not sure what that's all about. But let's take a look at the daily chart. Again, no bearish divergence on the owl, green PTFs here and here. This thing, I'm not sure what's going on with that. All right, looks like a data problem on the 60-minute chart for this. But, if you want to just keep following this up, the stop here on the daily chart, if you want a closer stop, is 117 even. And this stop longer term is 75.60. So here's the thing, all right? Yeah, we're moving up. We're in a wave 3, but wave 3's end too. So you don't want to, it's been such a big move. You probably are not going to want to be around for the wave 4, right? Especially on the weekly chart. Now you're going to have a wave 4 on the daily and then another wave 5, and then that will complete the wave 3 on the weekly, right? So it'll be something like this. Looks like we're probably, could do something like this, A, B, C, go higher, and this will look like something like here. We'll pull down here and then go back up higher. This will be a 5. This will be the end of 3, and kind of that's when you want to get out. If you want to not go through any wave 4 here, then have your stop here. Otherwise, keep your stop back here. And then when you see it trail down, draw your fibs in and put your stops under those fib numbers, okay? All right. So I'm not going to recommend this for anybody new right now. Hopefully you should be in it already. But you got to be careful for a wave 4 on one of these time frames. And so I think it's, at this point, it's a little late unless you're willing to hold it for the next big pullback. All right. So let's go on to AVGO. But NVIDIA, I'm bullish long-term. Okay, long-term, you could buy it as an investment right now, as long as you don't worry about, the pullback. All right, so this one breaking out as well. All right. Again, you had a gap up. The tendency is to fill these gaps. The gap's coming late in the trend. So this could be an exhaustion gap. So I wouldn't chase this at all. Even if it fills the gap, unless you're a short-term scalp trader, I wouldn't chase it, okay? If you're long already, hey, great, but not for somebody new. Excellent. My pleasure, Bradley. Excellent. Wow, good job, guys, today. So we have 4 so far. Anybody else? Frank, I know you're a Bitcoin guy. I covered Bitcoin already, so hopefully we're good on that. All right. Well, what do you say? Time for recap? Yeah, they're good. Okay, let's recap. Okay, so let me just grab my list here, and I'll show my mug here as I do the recaps. All right, so on the winners, we have DOC, all right, GH, long term. We got UNG, long term, TLT, short term. All right, now TLT, remember, short term trade, once it gets to the target, get out because the long term charts were bearish on that with the bearish PTF. All right, on the watch list, we got SFIX, Nike, NKE, NNVC, that's the $1.95 stock, XBI, and mRNA, Moderna. Okay, so those are the watch list ones. All right, good job today, folks. I mean, we found 4, and 3 of those 4 were long term, so that's outstanding. All right, so listen, have a great week. Have a great Father's Day out there, you dads, and we'll see you back here next Friday. I'll put a little music on. We'll take a look at the intraday charts and then go ahead and close the room. Have a good one, everybody. Take care now. Oh, Kevin's got a couple more here. Hold on. Let me see, Kevin, what you got. All right, let me go full screen and take care of Kevin here real quick. ALGN. ALGN. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so Kevin, I don't know if you're going long or not. All right, let's take a look at that weekly chart and see if we can see what's cooking on. All right, so we got kind of a roly-poly sideways movement in the market. However, we do have a pennant forming, don't we? Okay, so as price becomes more and more compressed, then whichever way it bounces out of that pennant, we're probably going to get a decent trend. And if it bounces to the upside, that means we have a double bottom here, and it's good to go. Now, it is possible we could break down and make it and go back down a little bit more before it turns around. So I wouldn't go into it quite yet based on this. Let's see what the lower time frames are showing us. All right, so a little bit of a downtrend here, green PTF, but not convincing yet. So let's wait until we break that pennant, okay? Let's put that on our watch list, okay? So we'll add that one to the other I just listed. All right, and then let's take a look at HUT. Jabba the Hutt. All right, so HUT's breaking out. I like that. Red PTF, that's the only concern I have. All right, not bad, a little volatile. All right, it has broken out of its channel. I don't like the red PTF. If it goes green, I like it. But for right now, I would hold off. Not a lot of history on this. However, we have a PTF calling for a target here above this price bar at 22.75. So that's a double your money. So I would let's wait and see on this red PTF. I don't like to trade against the PTFs, especially if they're on the middle or long time frame. Okay. So let's wait for that. If that turns abruptly green, we'll take a look at it for an immediate buy. So let's put APT on the watch list as well. Thanks, Kevin. Good. All right. Okay, well, I think that's it. All right. Listen, once again, have a great week. Have a good Father's Day. We'll be back here next Friday, same time. And I'll put a few of these fun intraday time frames up. And kind of a little bit of a volatile day. A little bit of a short scalp you could have done here. All right. And it looks like maybe it's setting up for another short trade here with a red PTF. And we have a yellow one now on the 15 seconds. So that could be setting up. All right, guys, have a good one, and we'll see you next week.